Hi there and welcome to Thursdays with Annette at 2 o'clock. I've got my apron on, so that means it's in the kitchen time and cooking one of my fantastic recipes. I've been looking forward today since like last Thursday because today I'm going to show you how to make the best scones ever. Absolutely. So make sure you've got pen and paper, so I'm going to give you a couple little tips. I'm going to talk about scones in general and just how easy they are making them my way. So the recipe is coming out of this fabulous cookbook, number 4, where there's a few scone recipes in there. But before we get into the recipe, let's talk about last week's show. You guys loved the pepper fish. I mean, it was fantastic, and we enjoyed it for dinner that night, I've got to tell you. It's one of my favourites. So I just want to read a few of the comments that were made from last week. Now, I have to first off by saying a special hello to Wally. Hi, Wally. He is one of the fabulous men who watch the show, and I've got to say, who doesn't love a man that likes to cook? Go you, Wally, and every guy that's watching, awesome. Now, Gwen asked, would your recipes be good for people with cholesterol, high cholesterol? And I thought this is a good question. So, keep those questions coming. I love them. Now, Gwen, the great news is that my recipes have the nutritional breakdown at the bottom of every single recipe. So you can see there that they're low in saturated fat and also the sodium, which is as low as I can get it without losing all the flavour. And they're the two things that are really important for someone that has a cholesterol problem. The great news is as well is that doctors, dietitians, hospitals have even recommended my cookbooks to their patients. So you're pretty confident there, which is awesome. Now, Connie and a few others wrote that the pepper fish was going to be their Friday night dinner, and I was really fizzy about that. I thought that was great. Now, Jan wrote, hi Annette, I just had to tell you we had the pepper fish tonight. Fabulous, Jan. It was a winner. P.S. This is a good question. We did miss the salt or the egg yolk, which is fantastic. And I'll make the tartar sauce when I next shop. Now, she had no gherkins in the pantry, and she wanted to ask how long would that tartar sauce last in the fridge? Now, the answer to that is simple. A good 3 months, Jan. So if anyone's making that and they've got some left over, you'll be able to use it next time you have the pepper fish or any other fish that you have. So the tartar sauce was out of book 1 and the pepper fish was out of book 6. Now, Lynn made a lovely comment, and I had to just say it because she said, I love watching you make cooking so easy. So I'm so glad that you get that, because my idea is, let's get out of the kitchen and have a life. But I want to have fabulous food. So if we can make it quick and easy, then we're all going to be happy. Paula also said, Yummo, can you please come to my house and cook that for me right now? Paula, I wish I could. She's not a fan of the bassa, which was the fish that I used. So I wanted to give you a couple of suggestions there, because really, basically, you can use any filleted fish that has no bones, it's boneless, but I prefer the thinner fish. You don't want really thick fish because it takes a while to cook and the crumbs might burn. So just a thinner fish like the bassa. If it looks a bit like that, then you can pick whatever fish you like. Now, the last one was from Kim. Hello, Kim. This recipe is a family favourite at my house, and I think it was for many of you, I think, from last week's show. Now, of course, we had 3 fabulous winners. Drum roll, please. That wasn't a very good drum roll. Let me do that better. Drum roll, please. We have 3 winners that won book 1 and book 6. I know I got into trouble from Billy afterwards, being too generous, but who cares? Deborah Richmond is super excited. She's getting a personally signed copy of both those books, and so is Sharon Berry and the gorgeous Judith Hawkins. They are our winners. Now, I want you to stay tuned because I'm giving away something that I've never given away before on the show. I know I keep it coming every week at you, don't I? And it's going to be one that you're going to want. Very special. Alrighty, so this week's show is all about scones. Now, just excuse me a little bit if I sound a bit nasally. I've got a bit of a cold. I'm fighting it. I'm ignoring it. Stop it right now. I'm not feeling sick at all. But, I want to get cooking for you, and it's so excited to do scones. Now, what we need for this recipe, so first of all, there are a few scones in the cookbooks, but this is the one I'm making today, and it's the basic simple, light one. It's the one that you start with, and then you can do all the add-ons, and I'll talk about that in the show. So you'll know how to make lots of different types of scones today. Now, it has a difficulty rating of 2. I mean, I don't know why I put 2 on it because it's so easy, but that's how I did, and it makes 12 scones. I've got my oven ready at 220 degrees. It's a hot oven. And I've also got my kitchen set up. I've got my soapy water ready to wash up all the dishes. I've got my shopping bag ready to take all the rubbish, which probably won't be a lot today. And I've got my utensils, but this is the ingredients you need. Now, I reckon you've got all this at home. So straight up, you can get cooking after the show. So we need some cooking spray. And a question also was asked last week, what spray do I like? Well, I've got to tell you, the one I like is the one that's on special. That's my favourite cooking spray. But you know what? You better not to use the olive oil spray because that gets hot and it changes the component. It's not my favourite. I prefer the canola or those type of sprays. But as I said, the one that's on special, and I like a big tin because I use it a lot and it's in my pantry. We're going to have 2 eggs. We're going to use 2 egg whites for the recipe. We've got some skim milk, Floralite, sugar and flour. That's it. That's how easy it is to make a scone. So let's get started. Now I'm going to put my gloves on because I just don't want the flour and everything to get in my rings and under my nails. Little princess I am, aren't I? And you can see there's a different way that I create scones. Can I just tell you a quick story before we get started? Because it's how I invented the whole idea of my version of scones. So now, I don't know whether you know, but my fabulous Billy is a master chef. That's right, award-winning master chef. So when he came home from work, do you think he wanted to cook? Hell no. So I was always the one cooking. Everyone used to say, you must be so lucky to have a chef as a husband. And I went, it's a little bit like the electrician that, doesn't fix its PowerPoints because they're too busy or they're too tired when they get home. Anyway, so Bill is a font of wisdom though. So when I'm talking to him about book 4 and I'm saying to him, honey, I want to make some scones because I am the scone queen. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Why is it that chefs, when they're making it, will put in the flour and then they get there with the butter and, they get in with the fingers and, make it all mixed up. I said, I don't like it. It's a nuisance and it's a pain in the bum. Anyway, he said, well, that's the way we do it, Annette. That's how you make scones. So I went, okay. So I went in the kitchen, made a batch of the best scones on the planet, and he walks and he goes, see, look, they work really well like that. And I went, no, darl, I melted the margarine and just chucked it all in together. And that's how we got to be able to make this scone recipe today because it is a little different from the normal scone. It's my version and that's okay. All right, so I'm going to measure 2 cups of flour and I'm going to sift it. Now look, to be honest with you, our flour in Australia is pretty good, but I still like to do it. So we're going to sift 2 cups of self-raising flour. And then what I want to do is I want to melt the margarine. Like I just told you, when Billy was telling me how to do it, and I, of course, being the typical wife, did exactly the opposite to what he said. So I'm going to show you a trick. Let me move this away. All right, so I've got my little old scales that are about 100 years old. I'm going to put on a glass one because I'm going to put it in the microwave, and it's really good to have glass going in the microwave as opposed to the plastic. And often I find these guys here never put them in the dishwasher because you lose the printing on it, and so that's a bit of a pain. All right, so we're going to start with, normally you would do 2 tablespoons of Floralite margarine. I can't be bothered. I want to show you a quicker way, and in the recipe you'll see it says 30 grams. So I'm going to put that away. I'm going to grab a spoon and I put it onto 0 with the measure cup on top of it. So it just tells me 24, 28, we're getting there, 30. Okay, so now I know exactly the right amount, but that's about too much. So I'm going to put it in the microwave. 20 seconds will do it. Doesn't need very long. And then I'm going to measure half a cup of milk. Let me turn that around. Half a cup of milk. And I'll get that marge out. Now they do say on the Flora Light and a lot of the low-fat spreads that you shouldn't microwave it. That's only because that if you leave that to sit for a little bit, it'll actually start to separate and you'll see the water. That's just them covering themselves so they don't want lots of complaints. So, you know, it works a treat. I've been using it for a million years. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the milk into the margarine, and that way it will cool it down. Yep. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the 2 egg whites into this as well. So I call it the wet mix. So it's all the wet stuff. Chuck out the yolks because you know we don't need them in the recipe. I've saved 12 grams of fat straight up by not using the yolk. And now in the recipe it says to use a fork to mix it up. But I just discovered these little whisks not long ago and I think they're a bit fabulous. So I'm just going to use this. So I've got the wet mix. All I've got to do is add a little bit of sugar into the flour, 2 teaspoons. Chuck in the wet mix, mix it all up and in the oven. Seriously, how easy is this? And this is what my way of doing it. You know, this is Annette Sim's simple, super easy. The other thing is that when you're using eggs in scones, that means they're going to be lighter. And most traditional scone recipes don't put eggs in them. And that's why mine used to come out like rocks. You know, the egg white is going to really help raise it. So let's just put in 2 teaspoons of white sugar. Mix that all through. Great. Now, once this is all combined, it's looking good. In we go. Let's get rid of these into the sink. Got me little wooden spoon. And then you just stir it. Just fold it in together. I mean, this can't get any easier, guys. It's so simple. Now, when you get to a point with the scone, if you feel like it's not mixing in well enough because of the wooden spoon, then this is where you get in yourself. And just move it around till you get all the dry ingredients combined. This is looking good. All right, now I'm just going to put a little bit of extra flour down here and we're going to roll it. I'll just get rid of the bowl. In the sink, soaking, so it'll be easy to wash. Now, everyone from my days, when I was a wee girl, used to use a rolling pin. You don't need to do that with scones. This is the key. Now, so these are the tips I'm giving you, right? The key to a really fabulous light scone is using egg whites. Put egg whites in it and it'll lighten it up. The second tip is the hot oven. I always believe that scones should be at a 220, so make sure it's a hot oven. And the other tip, completely unbiased, but use one of my recipes. They're the best. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to pat it out. This is what you do. Just make sure you've still got enough flour on the bench. Notice I'm making sure it's in a round shape. Pat it out. Now, you want a 6 centimetre scone cutter, and how I work that out, because you know you've probably got about 4 different sizes, you just hold it to the edge, and that'll tell you 6 centimetres, and I'm good to go. Now I can choose on this one whether I want fluted or I want plain, but I think I'm going to go with plain today. Then I'm going to dip it into the flour, get the cooking spray happening, fantastic. And I'm going to cut. What did I do with my cutter? Oh, it's in here. Oh, duh. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to make 12. So cut it, put it down. Try not to twist it too much around the edge because that can help make it a little bit tougher around the edges. Are you counting how many I've got here? And put them close together. They are a little family. They want to stay together. We need 12. So see, I'm squishing that up a bit. That's perfect. And now with the last bits, I'll get 3 more out of this, no worries. So what you do here is I kind of squish it. Is there another technical word for that, Bill? No? And then once again, repeat the round. I need 3 scones here, so let's have a look. 1. I'll make that a bit bigger. 2. And the last one, now, are you watching me? Because stop right now, I'm a genius. This is what I do. The last one, I put it in here, shove it down. Hello, there's your scone. Fantastic. Alrighty, now the last thing we have to do, apart from clean up, one moment please. Scones are a little bit messy. Let me just get off the surface flour. I'm a little bit generous when I'm doing things like scones and that because let me take my gloves off in the rubbish because I don't want them to stick or anything. Okay, so my scones are looking fabulous. 2, 4, 6, 12. Now you get your brush. Oh, my cup. I've already washed my cup. Look at me, hold on. I'm running ahead. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of milk in there. Now remember, this recipe is the Simple Light Scones from book 4. You'll see there's other scones in there and I'm going to talk about them in just a moment. So this is your plain. Just brush it with the milk. Now if you wanted to make different flavoured scones, you'll see with this particular recipe that I actually tell you at the bottom that you can make fruit scones, like sultanas, half a cup of sultanas or half a cup of currants. But you can also make one of my favourites, and I'm not a huge ginger person, but these are really worth trying. And you use, I think it's, I've written it down here so I can check, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger and 1/3 cup of finely diced glacé ginger. So you could put that in this recipe that we did today, and you've got ginger scones or fruit scones. I know, fabulous. So in the oven, oh, that's hot. And that means they'll rise really quickly. Let me wash my hands. Fantastic. Now, I do have a batch already made. Hello! I cooked these earlier on. It's even cold. But what I also did, because you know what? I love scones, yeah? Do you get it? I'm excited. And I do often, when people come over for morning afternoon tea, I'll do a scone buffet. I know, fabulous. So what I did, because I was in the kitchen making these, I went, oh, while I'm there, let's make a few more scones. And so what I did is I made the delicious orange and date scones out of book 4. So this book 4 is just giving you so many great ways to do scones. But also, which is super popular, is my cheese and onion scones. Now, interesting enough, you know, some people aren't a sweet eater, so when you put a buffet out like this, then sweet and savoury are happy. So I'm just going to load up my gorgeous plain scones to have this feast this afternoon. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is just something to be seen. And imagine if you were invited to someone's house and they put that in front of you. You'd be pretty happy. I'd be super fizzy about that. Now, how to keep it low fat? You serve Flora Light margarine with it, or the Dairy Whip Light cream, you know, the one you shake in the can, and just go light on the jam because it's got a lot of calories. But you know what, when it's got the fruit in it, you really don't need to add anything except margarine. Some people just like them on their own. Now, each scone for this plain scone works out to be 1.5 grams of fat and 95 calories. So an awesome afternoon snack with a cup of tea. And they're all suitable to be frozen. You can freeze them like bread. They're fantastic. But don't forget that you have to have that hot oven. And what I do, because my oven can be a little bit hot on one side, about halfway I go in and I turn the tray around so that they're not, you know, they're evenly baked. Now, if you're interested in other scones, of course you are. You've got, as I said, the simple light scones. You've got the orange and date. You've got the cheese and chive out of book 4. And you've also got the fruit. You've also got, and the ginger. Remember the ginger one? That's fantastic too. You've also got pumpkin scone in book 2, which is beautiful. Banana scone in book 6. Fantastic when you've got bananas that are getting a bit old. Fruit scone scroll, and I got the idea of this from New Zealand, so if any Kiwis are there, you were the one that helped me create the scone scrolls recipes, because what you do is you lay out the cinnamon, the sugar and the sultanas or currants, and you roll the dough, instead of like how we had it in a round thing, you roll it and then cut them into the spirals. And I've also got a savoury scroll for you as well, which is a scone recipe. So, you know what, they are our afternoon tea. I think we might have to invite some people over, Billy, otherwise, heaven forbid, we eat them all. No, we wouldn't. Now, next week's show actually is our last one for season 2. Oh, boo, I know, hasn't it gone quick? But we're going to do an awesome thing next week. We're going to give away something fabulous because it's the last one, and it's about question and answers. We did it in the last season and it was really popular. So I want you guys to hit me up with as many questions as you can think of over this next 7 days, and I will try and answer as many of them as I can. So you can ask me anything you want except ask me for a loan of money, because that just won't happen. Now, what you're going to win, oh my God, get ready people. You've been asking for it. Yes, a free apron. Yes, woohoo! They are not available on the website. You cannot buy them. That's how fizzy and fabulous they are. They retail about $20, but you are going to win it. If you're one of the 3 that does this, you're going to like, you're going to share, and then you're going to put this in the comments, hashtag simply number 2 good, and I will randomly pick 3 people, and you're going to win one of my very exclusive, very fabulous, only special people get them, aprons. I mean, who knew that weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Scones, you know what, there's not much fibre in them and that, but they are a lovely light snack, and I think fantastic for variety. And as I say, you can steal my idea about the scone buffet, because normally what I would do for my scone buffet is I would have the cheese and onion, I'd have the date and orange, I have the plain, but then I would do the ginger scones as well. So I normally do 4, and just you watch people attack from every angle. So I hope you've got the tips now. Remember, the egg whites are going to fluff it up, the hot oven's going to cook it quick. I didn't put a timer on the scones when I put them in, did I, Billy? No, that's all right. They take about 12 to 15 minutes. In my oven, they take about 12, you know, depending on how hot yours is. So don't forget to go to the website, simplytoogood.com.au, for more recipes and tips. And I'm going to catch you next week in the kitchen. No, not in the kitchen. Question and answer time. So I cannot wait. Last show of the season. Thanks for being with me today. See you next week, guys. Bye now.